The following program is underwritten in part by Viagen Pets, the leading provider of animal genetic preservation and cloning services. Preserve the genes of your dog or cat to extend the special bond you share with them. Get your free information kit and special offer for Animal Radio listeners at www.viagenpets.com. That's VIAGEN Pets.com.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring your dream team, veterinarian Dr. Debbie White and groomer Joey Villani. And here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
And welcome, my friend. Here is the toll-free number, 1-866-405-8405, to reach out to Dr. Debbie or to Dogfather Joey Villani. And we'll go to the phones in just a couple of seconds here. We do have a pretty big show, so we got to get moving here. I just saw this story. I'll mention this later on. Thank you for giving this to me, Judy. This is a story about somebody who was in debt, and they had a lien on some of their property because they were in debt. And the property that we're talking about is an animal. So we'll talk about this in just a couple of seconds right here on Animal Radio. Lori, what are you working on over there in the newsroom?
I got a couple of things in this really big shoe, as you said, Hal.
Yes.
In one state, no matter how heinous the act of animal cruelty was, the person could only be charged with a misdemeanor. And I mean, they could, if it was your first offense, you could do anything and get away with it with just a misdemeanor. They've changed that now, and we'll tell you about the state. And a really special story on whale vomit.
Oh, I love special stories on whale vomit.
You probably never even considered the value of whale vomit before.
I really haven't.
Didn't know there was a value to it.
Yeah, this is exciting. Of course, this is information you'll only learn right here on Animal Radio. Also, on the way, Robert Semrow, he has his top lists. And this week, a very serious subject, pet cancer. And he had two animals that would have been or could have been saved if he had diagnosed them early enough. So he's going to help you with some of the signs that he missed with early stages of cancer in his animals. So that's on the way. You ready to go to the phones? You ready, Dr. Debbie?
Yeah,
do
let's
that now?
do that.
You got it.
Okay, there's a couple of ways to reach out to us. Toll free at 1-866-405-8405. And you can also ask your questions from the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. Let's go to Connie, who's calling us from Central California. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
What's going on?
I have a 22-year-old male cat
Wow.
who has now started, but he's now urinating outside of his box.
Okay.
And this has been going on for about 5 months.
Okay.
And I tried various things for him, like separate potty boxes. I've got 3 other cats. They're not outdoors. They're indoors, but they also have like a cat run. And but he doesn't use the box. He just wants to go outside of it. And it seems to happen during the night, not so much during the day.
So he's getting near the box? So is he in the general vicinity?
The box is up against one of the walls in the room, and he'll just kind of pee alongside the wall. So it's probably about, I don't know, the length of it. It's like maybe a foot and a half in terms of the pee length.
And has he ever done this kind of behavior before?
He hasn't. Like I said, he's 22, and it started about probably 5 months ago.
Wow.
And I tried the different sprays, on the patio, wiping it up. I've Cloroxed it. I mean, I've tried numerous things, and he still seems to go to that one area. Now,
Okay.
I've also seen him, pee outside of his box outside in the patio. He has also done that too.
Okay. Well, I would have to say that a lot of times when we talk about cats with elimination problems, if they're peeing or pooping in the wrong place, a lot of the history, we get into some really in-depth questions about how many cats there are, the litter, the locations, all of this kind of stuff. But for you, I have to say that this call is a little bit different. One is because your cat is really in the senior cat year. So this is the grandpa cat of all time. So there's a very high likelihood that we do have something medical that could be triggering this.
He's been to the vet. They've done blood work on him. He is on thyroid medication. I don't know if that would have anything to do with it.
Well, potentially. The things that we see in a cat of, anything really over the double digits, so in the teens, when we have a cat that's not eliminating in the right spot, there's more than just checking blood work. So there's a lot of and I'll just kind of run through my list of potential causes, and you can kind of think about it, because it's going to be hard through the conversation to figure out exactly in your pet situation what we're dealing with, because it really takes a hands-on approach. But older kitties, number one thing I see is actually that they have arthritic pain. And cats don't verbalize pain well, but a lot of times they'll make some sincere efforts to try to use the litter box and try to use it in the right place, but they just don't quite do it. So you might have a cat that eliminates just a little bit outside of the box, or sometimes that tries to perch on the edge, but things kind of fall out the side of the box. And that's the kind of thing we really look at more with x-rays to try to document that. And in some cases, I don't care. I'll try treating them with glucosamine, because it's such a benign medication that can help a lot of kitties with arthritic pain. Some of the other things that we'll see will be other types of pain. So if we've had any kind of recent intestinal problems, constipation, for number one, is a really huge problem in older cats. So if we're struggling at all to use the box, sometimes that will cause a negative memory, so that when they're in the box, they really do what they can to kind of get out of there quickly, or to just try to avoid it completely. So that would be something. And a lot of senior cats, I'll use Miralax as a stool softener, just to ensure that they're pooping. And if your kitty's not pooping reliably once a day, then that might be something to check with, your veterinarian there. If we're dealing just with urine accidents and not making it to the box, then in an older kitty, really anything that causes urine excess. And by that I mean anything that will cause a cat to drink a lot and create more urine volume than they normally can handle. And that might be things like kidney disease, liver disease, or even diabetes. So that's where, lab work is valuable to help look into that. And then, the old things like infection, definitely a concern. But, if your vet did a urinalysis and they didn't see anything, it may or may not be an issue. But also the other thing kind of out there, and, is things like cancers. We definitely can see problems that cause not just in, say, the bladder and the colon, but things that can affect their general strength or the nerve function to their hindquarters. So that's what I mean. There's a lot of things that can cause this. And I think it would really be, trying to check for some of the simple things that we can check for. Outside of doing
my first step.
I would certainly say that, speaking to your veterinarian and making sure you bring this up with them, because, they have their hands, he or she has their hands on your kitty and might have some gut feelings. Though a couple things that come to mind is you've mentioned that your kitty is hyperthyroid, so has a high thyroid level. And with that, a lot of times we do watch for kidney problems, because as we effectively treat the thyroid problem, we can actually uncover a kidney problem that's just kind of been brewing under the surface that we don't always see. So that would be one thing, to check some blood and urine there. The x-rays, I think, are a very sound thing to check that lower spine area, look to see if the colon is overly distended or we're having any kind of issues there. So those would be some of the starting points. Now, around the environment, some simple things to try would be to pull a litter box away from the wall and put it in the center of the room, right in the traffic flow, and to make sure that we make it as appealing and as simple as possible. And for my senior cats, it's very important to offer low threshold litter pans. So even stepping up into those normal litter pans can be too much for them, just because of the little aches and pains that they have with age. So under bed plastic storage containers can be a really useful way to present the litter, and it makes them lift their legs a little bit less. So that can be a little bit more accommodating for the senior kitties. But those would be some things. The other things we think of, and it's usually a little bit more willy-nilly about the elimination problems, and in an older cat can be cognitive problems, which is actually kind of kitty senility, where they actually kind of lose their ability to remember what their plan was supposed to be when I go to the bathroom. And it sounds like your kitty's kind of going in the same area, so that may or may not be still something to consider. But there are some supplements that we can use for that as well, if we're suspicious of that.
All right.
So we got a little bit of work to do, I think. And
okay, I really appreciate you taking my call. I was just concerned about him and wasn't sure what the right direction that I needed to go into for this.
And your situation is so different with a 22-year-old cat. So my answers would be very different if we had a 2-year-old cat. So I think that's definitely a really important thing to consider here.
Thank you so much.
No problem, Connie. You are definitely doing something right. 22 years old, pretty amazing.
Heck yeah.
Not heard about that in a long time. Toll free, 1-866-405-8405 to reach out to the Dream Team right now. Well, did you know this portion of Animal Radio is brought to you by World's Best Cat Litter? You love your cat. I do. Maybe a little too much. But no one likes constantly buying cat litter. I really dig the concentrated power of World's Best Cat Litter. Great performance with just a little bit of litter. You can find it at Target, Walmart. I get mine actually over at my local grocery and pet stores. Thanks, World's Best, for underwriting Animal Radio.
Hi, it's Alan Cable. How much do you love your pet? A couple in Texas is trying to sell their home so they can offer a $50,000 reward for their dog.
Me and my wife, we've never had any children, and I guess maybe that dog is a replacement for a child. We had him, for 5 years, and I got all those memories, but we just want some more, we're greedy.
That man's name is Charlie Parker.
We just want another day, another week, another month, another year.
One thing's for sure, we all need to love, and we all need to be loved back. And there's nothing more powerful. So besides giving a dog a home, what's the greatest gift you can give? Well, being a great dog owner. And what does that mean? It means understanding and satisfying your dog's needs, learning to communicate with your dog. How do I do that, Alan? Dogs need these 4 things: socialization, structure, exercise, and affection. You're going to have to learn to communicate like a dog. And that's done with body language, not with words. Last week we were talking about the most common dog behavioral problems, and we covered barking and chewing. Let's talk about separation anxiety. If a dog has separation anxiety, he might get very anxious right before you leave. He's going to want to follow you around constantly, touch you whenever he can. And when you leave, a lot of things can happen. He might start chewing up your couch, going to the bathroom all over the place, barking. To change this behavior, modify it, and desensitize your dog first requires you to become a calm, confident, trustworthy, consistent leader. When your dog looks to you for leadership and can depend on you, the anxiety level naturally is reduced. Then you can start to teach him that, yes, you're leaving, but you're definitely coming back. In the dog world, the leader of the pack is the only one who's allowed to leave without permission. So if you're not in charge, when you leave, your dog gets all anxious because you're leaving without permission. You can begin by locking your dog in a crate and paying no attention to him for about 10-15 minutes. Then just leave. Come back in about a half hour. Pay no attention to your dog for 10-15 minutes and then let him out of the kennel. Don't talk to him though. And then over time, lengthen the amount of time you stay away. Your dog will learn that you're in charge, you're leaving, and you're coming back. And because you're not making a big deal out of leaving and coming back, your dog will learn to be calm while you're doing it.
Get ready to discover amazing experiences you can share with your pets on Pets Welcome Here, the hour-long TV special that sniffs out the best places to stay, play, and dine with the furry members of your family. To find out where you can see Pets Welcome Here, go to petswelcomehere.tv and check out the schedule for the TV station in your area. If you don't see your local station, ask them to schedule Pets Welcome Here. Pets Welcome Here. Exciting adventures you can share with your pet.
Did you know canine caviar diets are formulated with common health concerns in mind, such as diabetes, cancer, and kidney disease? You see, canine caviar uses low GI carbs, which reduce hunger and prolong physical endurance. Free of GMO, gluten, hormones, steroids, and antibiotics, canine caviar's 5-star dog and cat foods are the only alkaline-based foods in the world, and that promotes a healthy lifestyle for your furry family. Find out more at caninecaviar.com.
I am the family dog, and it's that time of year again. The one where pet parents start looking for Fido-friendly hotels and destinations where Fido is welcome. Make no bones about it. Pets are part of the family, and we like to sniff out new places too, and we hate to be turned away, especially when we're on our best behavior. So we won't be left out in the cold. Be sure to pick up a copy of Fido Friendly Magazine to find the best hotels and destinations where Fido is always welcome. Go online to FidoFriendly.com and subscribe today.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
It's Animal Radio, and we're going to head back to the phones in just a couple of seconds. Within the next 45 minutes, Robert Semrow with his list this week about pet cancer. And, of course, pet cancer affects about 50 to 65% of animals, wow. A lot of animals. He has himself, well, he hasn't been a victim, but he had animals that have, two that have died of cancer. And if they were diagnosed at an early age or early stage, they may have been saved. So he's going to try to help you with some tips on diagnosing earlier or signs that you need to go to your vet. And that's just right around the corner. Joey Villani, what are you working on?
Well, it's the time of year everyone takes their pets out swimming.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about, what the certain types of water, being ocean, pool, and lake water, what they can do to your pet's coat.
Oh, I have so many questions about that, too. Because I hear about lakes and all of that. I hear lakes are horrible. So we're going to get the actual information, the down low on lake water for your animals with Joey Villani in just a few minutes. The Dogfather. Lori Brooks in the newsroom. What do you got coming up?
Well, coming up, there is a new idea that's coming to fruition. It'll be on the market next year, I believe. But I saw this on Kickstarter. It's a new way to brush your cat that will give you a bigger, better bonding experience.
Oh, I cannot wait for that. That's on the way right here on Animal Radio, but let's go to the phones for your calls. First, hey, Barry, how are you?
I'm great. I've got a wonderful question for you.
Okay.
It's going to save my life.
Okay.
How can I get my dog to stop barking when people come to our front door?
Okay, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, because when you say, how do I get my dog to stop barking? It's like, there's joy in barking. Dogs enjoy it. It's the way they communicate. They do so much with it. There's the alert barking, territorial barking. There's, hey, Mom, I'm happy to see you. So there's a lot of reasons for barking. If it's specifically to the context of when people are coming to the door, there are ways we can try to diminish that. Now, what kind of dog do you have, I should ask?
He's a 5 going on 6-month-old Scotty, and he's got a mind of his own.
Oh, they do. Scottish Terriers are stubborn to all end. They really are. They're fabulous dogs. But so some of the things that we would look at is really to kind of train him to not think that someone coming to the door is a big deal. So what I like to do is, one, I like to teach a replacement behavior, so that when someone does come to the door, he has an alternate behavior that we're going to do. And that may be something as simple as teaching him to go to a pillow and rewarding him at that pillow. So that's something that we want to practice when there's not a stimulation, there's not someone at the door. So part of your training is really to give him a command to, if he knows his sit or his down, that'd be great, because you can teach that to a pillow and reward it throughout the day. And he has to hold that. That's the other thing. So down, stay, and then like a wait or a stay. And then you release him at the end of that. So that's an important thing, to have that skill down and work on that. Now, one important thing I do like is sometimes when you go to give a treat and you walk over and put it by the pillow where he's been sitting, a dog will get up. So they do make little remote treat dispensers. Judy, I don't know if you remember the name of these. I'm pulling a senior moment here. But they're basically activated, and you have a little clicker. And when the dog does the behavior you want, you click and it dispenses the treat right next to them in a dispenser. So that's a really great way to reward from a distance. And that can help you go a long way. So then the other thing you need to do is then really work on the things that are triggering the excitement when someone's at the door. So there may be a knock, or you may have the doorbell. Ding dong. So those are sounds that attract a dog's attention, and they're going to bark just because, oh, what is that? So the ways that we're going to work around that is to try to get a visitor to come without involving any of those noises. And that means you have to plan for this ahead of time. Have friends, family members, and you're going to ask them to, hey, when you get close to the house, give me a call on the cell phone. Sometimes not the house phone, because then they'll pick up on that. And then just say, let me know when you're coming, and I'm going to open the door before you come in. I'm going to have my dog on a leash, and we're going to practice our sit down, and we're going to reward as soon as that person comes in. And that becomes the positive thing. So we're rewarding for someone entering, and there's no sound associated with that. Then we'll work up to where maybe we'll just have the person come to the door without any doorbells or knocking, and you open it after they've arrived. And then as long as we're not overly reactive, we're not barking, we're not getting worked up, then we reward that behavior. So if we go along this pathway and, we're getting a lot of barking, we want to have calm, quiet visitations. So I can tell you, at my house, this happened last night. My brother-in-law came over for dinner, and my dogs love him. So they see him through the door, they're barking. So I go to grab the doorknob, and the barking goes crazier. So what did I do? I stepped away from the door, looked at the dogs, made them get into a down stay, and waited to open the door until they were quiet. So if they're carrying on, we don't want to reward them with seeing that visitor.
Right.
And so that's where if you start to get kind of the pushback and then you get the barking, okay, we need to stop this exercise and go back a level to where we're not having that kind of barking with the visitor arriving.
We can do the clicker, get him to sit down, but he continues to bark. So it doesn't matter whether he gets to the door or not. He just wants to know what's there and what's going on.
Yeah. And that's, you're going to get some of that with terriers. I mean, they are such vocal beings, but really if you can teach him restraint and that he can actually learn to settle, that's a very big step. You may still have barking, but we want to try to make sure he's not in an overly anxious state. And that's what we don't want, because that's when you're going to get more barking and more vocalization. So terriers are never going to be quiet, so we can't make it go away completely.
Okay.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you for your call, Barry. Toll free 1-866-405-8405 to reach out to the Dream Team right now. Dr. Debbie and Joey Villani ready to answer your questions. Let it be known that Animal Radio is underwritten by Pets Welcome Here, the hour-long TV special that sniffs out the best places to stay, play, and dine with your pets. Visit PetsWelcomeHere.tv and check the schedule for the TV station in your area. Pets Welcome Here. Exciting adventures you can share with your pet. Thanks, guys, for underwriting Animal Radio.
Did you know canine caviar diets are formulated with common health concerns in mind, such as diabetes, cancer, and kidney disease? You see, canine caviar uses low GI carbs, which reduce hunger and prolong physical endurance. Free of GMO, gluten, hormones, steroids, and antibiotics, canine caviar's 5-star dog and cat foods are the only alkaline-based foods in the world, and that promotes a healthy lifestyle for your furry family. Find out more at caninecaviar.com.
This is an Animal Radio News Update.
I'm Lori Brooks. Lawmakers in Ohio have just passed a bill that would make it a 5th-degree felony to knowingly harm a pet by inflicting pain or even depriving it of food, water, or shelter for a first-time offender. The bill passed through the state Senate unanimously, and the House approved it by a 92-1 vote. I want to know who was the guy who held out. House Bill 60 is nicknamed Goddard's Law after Dick Goddard, who is a weatherman in Cleveland, and he's been advocating for strengthening the penalties against animal abusers for a very long time. But once it's law, Goddard's Law will make it illegal for anyone to knowingly torture, torment, needlessly mutilate, harm, all this kind of stuff against any companion animal. Now, under Ohio law, a 5th-degree felony is punishable by 6 to 12 months in jail and a $2,500 fine. Goddard's Law, they say, is indicative of that big larger shift that we've had within national law enforcement towards protecting animals from abuse, like back in January when the FBI began tracking animal cruelty as a separate offense in its national incident-based reporting system. Goddard's Law in Ohio now makes knowingly causing serious harm to any animal a felony offense the very first time. You see, that's the big deal. Ohio was only one of a few states that did not have a felony provision for first-time offenders, no matter how horribly the offender tortured an animal. They say in one instance, someone, first-time offender, was charged with a misdemeanor. That's it, after throwing a puppy off of a cliff twice. Now, with Goddard's Law, Ohio's legislators are also strengthening the penalties for assaulting a police dog or horse, an addition that they say was inspired by the killing of Jethro, the police dog, back in January. An Australian brewing company has incorporated rare and expensive whale vomit. You heard that right. Whale vomit. They've incorporated it into a special new beer they're making. Who even knew about whale vomit?
Yeah.
Well, apparently it's excreted by sperm whales. And most commonly, there is a big market for this. It's used in perfumes to make the scent last longer, the scent of the perfume. But I have to wonder about the scent of the beer, because the brewery owner says the whale vomit, quote, adds a pungent, animalistic aroma, full body, caramel malt and fruity flavors, and very balanced bitterness to this beer. Yeah.
It sounds like I will projectile like the blowhole.
Yeah. You might.
you know.
I don't know why he doesn't. I mean, instead of, wasting all that money on the beer, which it sounds horrible, why not sell it to a perfumery or something? Because that's what inspired this.
How do you collect it?
There was a couple, I think it was in northern England. They were walking along a beach, and they found I think it was about a paper plate sized lump of whale vomit. I don't even know if they knew what it was.
Yeah, how would you know?
It.
I wouldn't know whale vomit if I saw it, if I stepped in it.
But it was kind of unusual looking, and for some reason it looked hardened in the picture that I saw of it. And they're getting now for this lump, paper plate size, about $70,000.
Whoa.
Wow. That's a lot of vomit.
I'm going to the beach.
Yeah, me too. Be sticking my finger down the whale's throat.
Just make sure it's whale vomit.
Sperm whale vomit, that
yes.
is. Now, what do you do to make your cat happy? I'll let you in on a few secrets. I used to build cat condos out of anything and everything.
Very cool.
A tablecloth over a nightstand, or, just wherever the cats were feeling comfortable. Yeah. Paper bags, whatever happened to be around. Now, you probably groom your cat, right?
Sure.
Because my Parker loves being groomed, and he loves it so much. I mean, he will scream at the top of his lungs, and I'm like, oh, I get it. You want brushed. And he will headbutt me while I'm, come on, some more, do my, and I use a flea comb on him, really. It's not a brush. My other cat, Jackie, who I've nicknamed Yacky because she talks a lot. She's hysterical. She loves me to hold her. And, her legs are on my chest, so she's facing me head to head. And then I move my chin back and forth on the top of her head between her ears. Aww. And she loves that. I've done that since she was a kitten. And I did that because she was dumped off in a Walmart parking lot in rural Pennsylvania, and I ended up with her, and I thought she needed some love. So anyhow, all of this goes to cats love that bonding thing when you do for your cat what, other cats do for them. So there's this new something on the market, or going to be soon anyhow, that has taken Jackie's delight to a whole new level. It is called Licky Brush. And it's not even been released yet, really. But you can see a video of it on Kickstarter, or go to Licky Brush, L-I-C-K-I, brush.com. It's a tongue-shaped cat brush. Hard to picture, I know. But, yeah, you actually hold the handle in your mouth. It's got like a little piece. Yeah, you put this little piece in your mouth. Boy. And then from this piece, there's like the cat brush, which is kind of like a rubber mitt, and it hangs down, and it's got these little knobby things all over it. And it acts like a big tongue. And you, with your mouth, pretending like this is, your extension, your tongue, you groom your cat.
Hal's drooling. He wants one, I can tell.
I guess it's not a brush
cool?
you share with friends, huh?
Yeah.
Here, want to borrow my brush? Just rinse it off.
So let me get this straight. It's a brush that's in the shape of a tongue you put in your mouth and you brush your cats with.
You can groom your cat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
You got
it. Do you have the information on that? I'd like to. Can we see if we can get these people on the phone?
You want to talk to them?
Yes.
Okay. It's right here.
Okay.
Right
before
here.
we go today, I want to talk to the people that invented this.
Okay. Well, let's see. I'll get them on the phone.
I want one.
It's a Kickstarter campaign, so it's not out yet. But
sorry.
Yeah, I'd love to know more too. I'm Lori Brooks. Get more breaking animal news anytime at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update. Get more at animalradio.com.
Let's welcome back to our airwaves from Pets Welcome here, Heather Eisenstadt. She's the creator and executive producer. Hi, Heather. How are you?
Hey, Hal. I am fine. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Since the last time we spoke, I love your job even more. I want your job. You want to switch?
Well, maybe for a day, and then we'll see how you like it. But it is fun. You get to meet so many wonderful people and incredible pets and go all over the country and do fun vacation things. What could be better?
And it's a TV show, too. So how did you create Pets Welcome Here TV?
Well, there are so many people across the country that want to have fun with their pets, but they really don't know where to go or what to do. And I became kind of a pet expert over the years, and people used to ask me, well, where can I go with my dog? What can I do with my cat? So I decided I should make a TV show so everybody would know exactly what they can do and where they can go and all the fun that they can have in great vacation destinations. And, one of the top vacation destinations is Florida. But so many people don't realize how pet-friendly it can be. So we decided we would set our first episode here in the Sunshine State.
I heard Key West was really especially pet-friendly.
Oh, it is incredibly pet-friendly. In Key West, pets are as welcome as human visitors, and maybe more so. You can do anything there, from dog kayaking to a special beach just for dogs called Dog Beach.
You must have a bunch of great companies behind you, supporting you and helping you do this trip across the country.
We are so thankful for our many sponsors. Toyota provided us with 2016 RAV4 and a Prius, and we were able to drive them throughout the show, and you'll see them on the show, and they are very dog-friendly cars. In fact, the dogs didn't want to get out. They love driving around. Rock Straps is a special leash. It's called the No Jolt leash, and they sponsored our pet safety tips. The leash is especially made so if your dog pulls, you don't get that sudden jolt in your arm or shoulder, like with an ordinary leash. So if your dog sees a squirrel or he just wants to take off, you don't go with him.
Squirrel.
So we
Squirrel,
love
yeah.
Rock Straps. And, of course, we have Top Dog Pet Travel. Top Dog Pet Travel is the only online travel agency where you can book pet-friendly travel and talk to a licensed travel agent that will actually tell you about the destination where you want to go, tell you information about traveling with your pet to that destination, what restrictions there are, everything that you need to know, and then create a custom vacation for you and your pet so you can enjoy, the vacations of your dreams with your 2- and 4-legged family.
Oh, so where can our listeners see Pets Welcome Here?
Pets Welcome Here is being syndicated on local affiliate stations all over the country from now until the end of July. That's through July 31st. So to find your station day and time, I would recommend that you go to our website. That's petswelcomehere.tv and click on the TV schedule. And if you don't see your local station, contact them and tell them you want to see Pets Welcome Here.
Yeah, you know what? I went over there and I looked at it, and I think that you're going to probably find it on your local TV station. You have a lot of TV stations that are involved with this.
We do. We are on over 50 stations from coast to coast.
Check it out, petswelcomehere.tv. It's not .com. Listen carefully, petswelcomehere.tv. And, of course, links to everything you've heard on today's show over at animalradio.com. Heather Eisenstadt, the top dog over at Pets Welcome Here, thank you so much for hanging with us today.
Oh, Hal, thank you so much.
We're going to head back to the phones for your calls.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
People say less is more. At Red Barn, we think less is better. It's what you won't find that sets our natural premium pet food apart. No byproducts, no corn or soy, no fillers. Just the natural ingredients your pets need to live the healthy life they deserve. Look at the label. We want you to. Red Barn Naturals Pet Food. Simply the best. Find it in your local pet specialty store. Red Barn canned food for cats and dogs is grain and gluten-free.
Well, this healthy serving of Animal Radio is brought to you by the grain-free Red Barn Naturals canned food for dogs and cats. Always made in the USA with natural functional ingredients to support your pet's optimal health. We have one cat here to prove it. Here, hold the cat up to the microphone. Learn more over at redbarninc.com. Thanks, Red Barn, for underwriting Animal Radio. Hey, Rick, welcome to the show.
How are you?
I'm doing great. What kind of critter do you have?
She's a black lab. She'll be 5 in July. And
Awesome. All right. I'm a black lab lover myself.
Oh, good. We've got a little problem with her being overweight. She's about 90 pounds.
Okay. Yeah.
But she's been riding with me in the truck over the road since she was 6 weeks old. And I try to exercise her every day, throwing the tennis ball like 5 or 6 times a day. We do that. I mean, she runs and runs and runs, and she just keeps on putting the weight on.
All righty. Well, I mean, so at the other times of the day, then she's riding with you and just kind of sedentary, kind of chilling?
Right.
So the big thing I would have to say is being a Labrador, now I always talk body condition, so numbers to me don't always ring as true. But if she's a 90-pound, and you can say as her father, you could say, yeah, she's heavy. then I trust that, because the body condition is by far more meaningful than any number on the scale. So if you put your hands on her chest and you feel like some fatty resistance before you can actually feel ribs, then we're talking that, yeah, we're carrying extra weight there. And if we don't have a nice little inward turning hip when you look at the top view of your dog or the side view, then we're probably in the overweight category there. So the big challenges for you would be, limiting your calories and then increasing your exercise. So I like the idea that you have tried doing retrieving and playing ball, because that is a great way to help expend energy. So we want to remember that same kind of formulas for us, about 30 minutes to 60 minutes of continual exercise. So ball playing may not be able to fill up that whole time, but leash walking and other types of physical activity, swimming would be wonderful. Those kind of things.
Swim.
Yeah, and you know what? That's it exhausts them. It really burns up the calories very wonderfully. So swimming and retrieving for me would be some of the big ways to kind of help burn down her energy level, kind of tire her out, and then maybe also supplement that with a little bit of walking, leash walking along the way. But calorie-wise, we really got to watch what you're putting in the doggy's gullet. So if we need to get on a serious weight loss program, then I like to go into some of the therapeutic weight loss diets.
Well, I've switched her over to a healthy weight, the more expensive stuff. And I only give her one cup in the morning and one cup about 4 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon.
Okay. Now, I'm going to caution you, because with some of the, there's some great foods out there on the market that are marketed as a weight loss diet. The problem that I have is that for real true weight loss, we really ought to have your veterinarian involved in kind of supervising that. The problem becomes when we take weight loss foods that are sold on the general market and we restrict the volume for our pets. We can actually cause problems. By decreasing the amount you feed, you can limit not only the calories she's taken in, but also the nutrients. So we don't want her to be nutrient deficient, and we also don't want her to end up feeling hungry and unsatisfied. So I would certainly check with some of the different local vets in your areas what kind of prescription weight loss foods they have. There's different ones by Purina, Science Diet, Royal Canin, IAMS. There's oodles out there, but really to get on one that is made for weight loss. And the idea is those foods have higher fiber. They may be supplemented with carnitine to help burn fat. And those are going to be my best recommendations for diet. And we really look for maybe only 1 to 2% body weight loss per week. So we're going for gradual. We don't want to make her hungry and make her frustrated in any way. The other thing you might look into, and for any retriever especially, I'm always suspect with this if we're talking weight issues, is to have her thyroid level screened. It is a common cause of weight gain in many breeds, but also especially in these Labradors, where we can just kind of not maybe eat a lot, but just kind of pack those pounds on over time. And I would certainly personally wish for a thyroid problem to lose weight if we could all take a magical pill. But, if that is a problem, I would hate for you to miss that and not have that evaluated.
Now, I had her spayed. It seemed like she put on a lot of weight on right after that.
Uh-huh.
Is that common?
Well, what we have to remember is basically when we're spaying a dog, we're changing their metabolism. So it can lead to weight gain if we don't change our feeding habits. So I definitely recommend pretty much the day a pet is leaving my office getting spayed, we have that talk about metabolism. And any lady that's gone through menopause or ended up with a hysterectomy will attest that it is hard to keep the weight off afterwards. And we can run into that with our dog. So don't continue to feed her like you did when she was a young juvenile. We really just have to limit the calories and make sure that we keep her activity level up and, keep that in mind. So it's not a reason not to spay, just to know that it can happen and we just need to kind of get ahead of things before, they pack that weight on. And, one other thing you might try, even things to keep her occupied and busy and keep her mentally stimulated in the cab of the truck would be some of the different interactive toys. And you might throw some of her food into those different little toys. If she's into the Kong toys, toys. There's Busybuddy is another brand, and you can hide the food items in there, and she kind of has to work to get them to fall out of the different toys, and it kind of keeps them occupied, mentally stimulated, and really we make it so easy putting that food in front of our pets. This is a great way to make her kind of work for it, if you will.
Okay. Another question I have. She expects a treat every time that she goes to the bathroom. That's my fault because
every time. Whoa! Every time she goes to the bathroom. You said every time she goes to the bathroom, right?
Every time that I get out of the truck and I come back in, I give her a biscuit. Now I used to give her the medium-sized biscuits. I cut her down to the puppy ones.
Okay, well, here we go to the nitty-gritty. Now the truth comes out, Rick. Now I know what the problem is. Definitely, she's being overtreated.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
For over a decade, Viagen has been the leading provider of genetic preservation and cloning services of prized livestock, with thousands of satisfied clients. Now announcing Viagen Pets, providing genetic preservation and cloning services to pet parents. Consider preserving the genes of your pet to extend the special bond you share with them. Get your free information kit and special offer for Animal Radio listeners at www.viagenpets.com. That's VIAGEN Pets.com.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring your dream team, veterinarian Dr. Debbie White and groomer Joey Villani. And here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
If you are just joining us, last hour, Lori reported on a story of a company, or a couple actually, that is making a tongue that you insert in your mouth, like those little wax lips that you used to get at the carnival. And it allows you to lick your cat.
Oh, boy.
Groom your cat.
I misunderstood the story. I thought it was just a tongue you just wiped on your cat. I didn't realize it fitted in your mouth.
Yeah, you hold it in your mouth.
Fits in your mouth. And so we heard that story last hour. I figured we need to find out what is going on. We need to get to the bottom of this. So Judy has arranged to talk to, I believe, one of the co-founders in just a couple of minutes right here on Animal Radio. What else are you working on, Lori?
A great story. This dog was at the vet's office, and we've all had animals that we had to, let go over the Rainbow Bridge, and how sad it is. So there's this dog at the vet, and they're getting ready. I mean, he's got an IV in his arm. They're going to put him down. And at the last minute, it's like, whoa, wait! They find something. Whoa. And the whole thing is called off, and it's just a happy ending. We'll tell you all about it.
Wow, an 11th hour save. Okay, that's on the way right here on Animal Radio. Let's go to the phones. What do you say? Well, hello, Jan. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good. Where are you today?
I'm in Vernon, Texas.
Vernon, Texas. Which side of Texas is that?
Which side of Texas? It's close to Wichita Falls.
Is that where you live?
We're on the border. We live out in the country.
Okay. Well, I have Dr. Debbie here. I hope everything's okay with your pets. What's going on?
Let's see, she's about 3 years old. We've taken her to the vet quite a few times. They had her on antibiotics, 2 rounds, and her skin would be inflamed.
Jan, I'm going to back up. This is a dog we're talking about?
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I wasn't sure.
Okay, what kind of dog? How old?
3 years old, and Chihuahua.
A Chihuahua. Awesome. Okay, so what do you got going on with your baby there?
She's inflamed, her skin is, and she scratches a lot. And they put her on 2 rounds of antibiotics. She had an odor, and he ended up cleaning her teeth. And then that seemed to help. But then her skin got inflamed again, and she's still scratching. We have a antifungal shampoo that we used for several months, and I don't know that it helped, but he gave her 2 different allergy shots, and that kind of helped on the itching, the scratching and all. But it's kind of like she's done all that, and she's still having problems. So I don't know if we need to get blood work done or what we need to do.
Okay, yeah. Now, and you're describing that at the time that she's itchy, does she also smell at the same time?
Yes, and her hair will get oily if you don't bathe her at least twice a week.
Okay. Yeah, and definitely I'd say here, blood work might be useful to see if we've got any potential hormonal problems, like a thyroid problem or other health issues going on. But when I pick up an odor, and a lot of times when a dog has just I don't want to say stank, but yeah, when they have a stank to them, and they're actually having itching, scratching, all of those type of signs, there's a lot we can do by looking into the skin surface. So I'll take a slide, look under the microscope, see what kind of critters we might have growing. Because a lot of times, if we're picking up a smelly odor and we've got some redness on the skin, it's very possible we have some infection, whether it's yeast, bacteria, or what have you. So when you said you're using an antifungal shampoo, that makes me wonder if they were concerned that maybe she did have something like a yeast infection, which can be yeasty and stinky and smelly. And if anyone knows what an infected ear smells like when it has a yeast problem, dogs can get this all over their body anywhere. So it can really produce a pretty potent smell. So that might be something that I'd be looking at doing, is check for yeast on the skin. And if possible, we may need to get her on an oral anti-yeast medicine. But I definitely like the idea of checking blood work. The other thing I would definitely look into doing is getting her on a hypoallergenic diet, because a lot of these skin problems, allergies, infections, they can be rooted where a pet has a problem with a sensitivity to certain proteins or ingredients in the food. And that kind of starts the whole cascade of itch, redness, infection, itch, redness, infection, and it goes on and on. So if we can get to the heart of it with a hypoallergenic diet, you can go a long way there to make her more comfortable. And
we
then
had
as far
her on
as
the wellness dog food, and that was supposed to be an allergy type dog food. Then we switched her, and she's on potato and duck, and she's been on that for like 6 months. And so I don't know where to go after that.
Yeah, I mean, and if you've tried a couple avenues down that road, there are different ways that we can go at food allergy. So you were kind of trying what's called the novel protein approach to food allergies. We can go to a hydrolyzed protein diet, and there are some really good ones out there. Purina makes one, Science Diet makes one, Royal Canin makes one, I believe, where they're actually, the proteins of the food go through a special process so that they kind of trick the pet's immune system so that they can still eat the chicken protein, if you will, and not show an allergic sign to it. So that would be one thing you could do, but it's a hydrolyzed protein that you might want to look into that with your veterinarian. And then really, I'd say the heart of it is to get a sample from the skin. And I know Hal always says I like to look at the gross things, the ooey things, the gross stuff on the microscope, but it really can, to empower your veterinarian to really work with you to try to find the right steps, the right solution, and the right medicines or shampoos, because that makes a big difference. So commonly I hear people getting upset, oh my God, I spent $200 at the vet and you didn't do anything for me. Well, sometimes if we don't have the right direction and we're not given that lead of which path we're going down, we can spend money pretty easily for you, but it may not be in your pet's best interest or might not be the most effective. So definitely it's well worth looking into those simple skin tests that your vet can do, and I'd encourage you that way.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll get your baby so that we're not getting that smelling and so forth, and feeling good there, because this is a rough time of the year. All these pets are out there scratching and itching. So
yeah, I know it seems like 1 out of every 5 calls right now is about allergies or something this time of year.
It's such a big time, yeah. So you're not alone. We're all there with you. Thank you so much for your call.
1-866-405-8405. Animal Radio is underwritten by Pets Welcome Here. It's an hour-long TV show that sniffs out the best places to stay, play, and dine with your pets. Visit petswelcomehere.tv and check the schedule for the TV station in your area. Pets Welcome Here, exciting adventures you can share with your pet. Thanks, Pets Welcome Here, for underwriting Animal Radio. Okay, let's go to the phones. I know Kevin's waiting for. Hey, Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for taking my call.
Where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Los Angeles. You guys are having way too much fun out there.
Yeah, we are. So what do you got going on? I understand you want to talk to Dr. Debbie.
Yeah, I had a quick question. I was listening to your program being broadcast early this morning in Los Angeles, and there's a lady that spoke about a German Shepherd and how he was distempered in his rear hind legs, and he had some spinal condition. I also, too, own a German Shepherd. He's a vibrant fella. He's 3 years old. His name is King. And I know that in the future, I'm going to have to anticipate some type of hind problem, because that's what they're typical for.
I didn't hear you. You anticipate what?
The German Shepherd experienced some problems with his hind legs because they're known for having problems with their hind legs.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so my question is knowing that that's going to come in the future, is there some form of insurance that you can purchase for your dog for medical situations? Because having to take them to the vet gets very expensive, and just to have to outright pay that kind of cash is very expensive, and I want to give the best care to my animal that I can. I can't afford it because they're so expensive at the veterinarian now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And you know what? It's great that you're thinking ahead because, a lot of people don't anticipate those big bills when they come up. And, there's a lot of great advances we have in veterinary medicine, but they come at a cost. And,
Right.
a lot of these things can be price prohibitive, if you're not ready for them. So
Right.
with any breed of dog, my recommendation is I do recommend pet insurance, and I prefer to get a dog or cat into that when they're young, preferably as a puppy or kitten, because number one, your rates are going to be the lowest then, and also you haven't set any kind of patterns of pre-existing conditions, because once your dog, say, has a problem with allergies or ear infections, that's already documented in the medical record, and those may not be covered if you sign up for insurance later. So the best advice is get into insurance early. And then your question about some of these big problems in shepherds, like hip dysplasia, you have to be cautious, because if you are hoping to have that kind of insurance help you for a specific condition, you really need to check the pet insurance carefully. There are different exclusions for both hereditary conditions and pre-existing conditions. So if, for example, you were to tell me you went to the vet down the street and they told you your dog has hip dysplasia right now, and then you try to get an insurance policy after the fact, it's very possible that a company might not cover it at all.
Wow.
So some conditions, if they're treatable, they will, even if it's pre-existing and it's been noted before, they may cover it. But it depends on the company. It depends on the condition. So it's something I'd have a hard time telling you blanket which one to go with. But the other thing to keep in mind with some of these different pure breed diseases, and hip dysplasia is very common in German Shepherds, is that has a hereditary base. So it is passed on from generation to generation. So they may have an exclusion based on that as well. So what I recommend, you can do this stuff online. It's very easy. You go to the different pet insurance websites, and you can go through and ask for a free quote. And it's very easy. You get a little annoying email after the fact, but you can always unsubscribe if you don't want that. But it's a really good way to kind of price compare. And then when something is looking like it's in your budget, I do suggest to get someone on the horn and add those specific questions for those conditions.
Do they usually charge a higher premium for animals that might be predisposed to sort of, the luxating patella or these? Yeah, they do.
They do. In certain breeds, like, for instance, the English Bulldog, a fabulous breed, but they're a veterinarian's good friend. They're in all the time. So as a breed, yes, you're going to find a higher rate. And that's why when you get these quotes that you're putting through, they're going to ask you what breed, what age, and not only that, but where you live in the country. Because how a veterinarian practices in Los Angeles or Las Vegas might be very different than a remote part in Arkansas. So the cost of the veterinary care may be different regionally. So they're going to kind of base that on your region there.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
Geico presents Kathy, the Candid Real Estate Agent.
Now, in the living room, you'll see this beautiful bay window. It's energy efficient and lets in a ton of natural light. It will also let in a thief when you leave it unlocked, and he'll steal your laptop and flat-screen TV. Now, who wants to see the kitchen?
It's hard to know all that comes with renting a home or apartment. That's why the Geico Insurance Agency makes getting covered for personal property loss and damage quick and easy. Visit geico.com and see how affordable renter's insurance can be.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
It's Animal Radio, and we're going to head back to the phones in just a couple of seconds. Also, a check of the news just around the corner with Miss Lori Brooks. What do you got coming up?
Well, something really interesting. They've done some new research, and coming up, I'll tell you about it. There's at least 3 breeds of dogs that you should not spay or neuter before they are 1 year old.
Ooh.
Otherwise, it leads to several different things, but the biggest thing that they're really concerned about now is joint disease.
Wow, I've heard about this, and it's such a controversial subject, depending on who you ask. So you'll have the 411 on that. Also,
Absolutely.
Around the corner, we're going to be visiting with a guy who's, and this was reported on the news last hour.
It's a girl.
It's a girl?
Yes.
They've invented a tongue that you put on your put in your mouth. It's a big cat tongue, and you groom your cat with it.
You lick your cat.
You lick your cat with it.
Yes.
And we just had to get these people on, so they'll be on in just a few minutes right here on Animal Radio. If you've ever been in debt, I know I have, especially when I was young. You know,
I know. You don't answer the phone
because the debtors would be calling all night long, and sometimes they even take liens on your property, like they'll take a car.
Mm-hmm.
This is a story out of Moscow, and the Moscow Times reported that in May, bailiffs in Russia, employing originality not seen in America yet, in attempting to collect an overdue debt, they arrested the debtor's cat.
What? They took his cat?
They took his cat, which is property. Pretty much all around the world, animals are property. And the bailiff said the feline's value was equivalent to $23.
Oh, my gosh.
Fortunately, the man came up with the sum the very next day and took the cat home.
Oh, at least it had a happy ending.
Wait, was it for, like, a veterinary debt? Or was this just for, like, hey, I didn't pay my parking ticket kind of thing? And
just a general debt.
I don't know what the crime was.
He had nothing else to take.
Not that it matters, but...
Yeah.
Wow.
But apparently the guy didn't have anything else. It says here that they looked in his house or in his apartment, and all of the other property was in other people's names. So they took the cat. And very interesting and of course that's in Russia. So that's not here in the U.S.
Yeah, let's be clear on that one.
So the moral of the story is to register your pets in someone else's name.
Yeah. But then you worry about them. And what if the person that you're registering them in is even worse and they don't keep up with their parking ticket?
Interesting stuff. They don't do that here in the United States.
That's catnapping.
That is.
That's not.
Well, that's like taking the family.
Yeah.
Although they probably could do that because they're property. But I've never seen that happen in the United States.
No, never heard of that. Wow.
Yeah, you may have some people not paying their bills anymore if that was the case.
Come get them.
I don't know, because then if you throw in the emotional attachment, I would say, it would pay off all my debts. Because the amount of emotional attachment I have my pets, my mortgage should be done, I'll let you borrow my dog for a little bit, take the mortgage away, but I want my dog back.
Now, we all love to groom our animals, some people more than others. In just a few minutes, we're going to talk to this guy who's invented, I guess we're going to talk to one of the gals from a company who's invented a tongue.
A tongue?
A tongue that you can groom your cats with.
It may work. Cats groom each other. They may like, the feeling of us grooming them that way.
Yeah, I've never seen a cat take a mat out of its hair yet, so...
So how are you doing? What's up in your world?
Well, this is the perfect time of year to start talking about swimming. A lot of people think that, they take their dogs to the lake, to the pool, to the ocean, and everything's good. And in most cases, it is. But you know what? It comes sometimes with some problems. So let's start with the easy ones, which is salt water. Salt water is probably the easiest on your dog's coat and skin. Because it's similar to our own body, which has saline basically, but you still want to rinse it out of the coat because excess salt in the coat itself, it's gonna build up. It could cause irritation, but what I found most of all, it causes matting because it stays in the coat.
Yeah.
Now a lot of people think just by rinsing the coat that it'll be fine, but really you want to get in there with a shampoo it out. Condition your pet and send them on their way. Now, some people say, well, what if my dog is swimming every day? You know what? Number one, it's a pain in the neck to bathe every day. But if you did it once a week, or if your vacation is shorter than that, if it's 3 days after that last day and you're going home, the dog is not going to swim anymore, then I would, do it then. Pool water is the same thing. Pool water, even though it's, clean for the most part, the chlorine will build up on the coat. And the same thing will happen. Now, two things happen. On dark-colored breeds, you'll notice that the coat will start to lighten and sometimes almost get a reddish tint. The other thing is it's also going to cause matting. So you want to get that out. And most importantly is lake water. Now, a lot of dogs swim in lakes and never have a problem. And then you have other dogs that swim in lakes and they end up seeing the veterinarian for months because they have all kinds of problems, bacteria infections and all that, depending on what they come in contact with in the lake itself. and really how sensitive their skin is. So again, I would use a nice, gentle shampoo. It doesn't have to be an antibacterial or anything like that. You just want to clean the coat. When you're done, rinse it nice and clean. You know, you'll have a happy dog that'll be happy to swim all the time, and you know, you'll have no problems.
I'm keeping my dogs out of the lakes. I just hear too much about
I know, with all that algae and all that stuff that they can ingest and become really ill, and some even die from it.
You know, it's funny. I mean, the things that you don't hear about are the skin infections that they get from lakes. You know, just from the bacteria.
It's the Dogfather, Joey Villani on Animal Radio. I almost forgot where I was. Toll free 1-866-405-8405.
Animal Radio is underwritten in part by Viagen Pets, the leading provider of animal genetic preservation and cloning services. Preserve the genes of your dog or cat to extend the special bond you share with them. Learn more at www.viagenpets.com. That's VIAGEN pets.com.
This is Animal Radio, baby.
What's the matter, honey? Can't sleep?
Ugh, it's this heartburn. At night, it's the worst.
Heartburn? Again?
Yeah, I'm done with it. I'm going to kick acid with Rolaids.
Rolaids Advanced goes to work instantly for powerful relief of your worst heartburn, bloating, and gas.
Feeling better?
Much better.
That was fast.
Mm-hmm.
Kick acid and gas with Rolaids Advanced.
This is an Animal Radio News Update.
I'm Lori Brooks. A new study published in the journal Veterinary Medicine and Science finds that neutering or spaying German Shepherds before they are 1 year of age will triple their risk of one or more joint disorders, especially for cranial cruciate ligament or CCL tears. The study was done at the UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine, very highly respected school. The lead researcher said they found simply delaying the spay-neuter until a dog is 1 year old can greatly reduce the chance of a joint disorder later in their life. Another study 2 years ago, by the way, revealed a 4 times greater increase for joint disease is also true for golden retrievers who are spayed or neutered before being 1, and a 2 times increase, the same thing, for labs. Now, that's because neutering removes hormones, which play key roles in important body processes like closing of bone growth plates. Now, there are, of course, trade-offs, as in, almost everything. The study found mammary cancer was diagnosed in 4% of intact females, compared with less than 1% of females who were neutered before 1 year of age. And on the subject of urinary incontinence, common in older dogs, of course, it was not diagnosed in intact females, but 7% of females neutered before 1 year of age did have it later in life. Dog owners in the U.S., of course, typically choose to spay or neuter their dogs before they're 6 months old, in large part to prevent pet overpopulation or, hoping to avoid unwanted behaviors. Animal activists in China recently rescued 200 dogs that would have been killed for the annual Yulin Meat Festival, which again is going to be held this year, June 21st. Now, despite worldwide outrage, global social media coverage, and 100,000 Chinese citizens who are protesting the event inside the country, the festival is going to be held again this year. But because of the sustained pressure the world has put on China for this, the number of animals killed for the event has dropped about 80%, they say, and that's according to Animal Asia. The people of Yulin have celebrated the summer solstice with the so-called Dog Meat Festival since the 1990s. A visiting medical student at an Oregon animal hospital found a tick behind a dog's ear. You think that's no big deal, but this happened right before she and a veterinarian were getting ready to put a dog to sleep over his ailing health and paralysis. The owners of little 10-year-old Ollie the Sheltie noticed that he was lethargic and not getting around well at all after a hiking trip in Oregon. So they took him to their regular vet for tests, but they couldn't figure out what was wrong. A vet student said she thought it was kind of odd that Ollie still had, this sparkle in his eyes, even though he couldn't move. His expressions were lively and he was responsive, even though he was completely paralyzed, unable to eat or even go to the bathroom. So they were getting ready to euthanize Ollie, and the student was comforting him. And while she was petting him, she felt this kind of strange little lump behind his ear that turned out to be a tick. So thank heavens somebody looked. This tick was very bloated, and they said there was a lot of tick fecal matter around it, so it had obviously been there for a while. The vet said that was when he figured out Ollie's sickness was a very rare condition called tick paralysis. The saliva, which is secreted by the tick, then got into Ollie's system because it was there over a prolonged period of time and affected his neurological system and caused that paralysis. Hospital staff removed the tick. They shaved most of Ollie's body then to make sure that there were no other ticks that were hiding in his fur. And about 10 hours later, 10-year-old Ollie was back at home, roaming around the house and waiting to be let outside the door to go potty.
Wow, that's an
Can you
incredible
believe that?
story, yeah.
Yeah.
From a tick.
Yes.
Wow.
Have you ever seen tick paralysis before in your practice?
You know, I personally have never seen it, and it is a pretty uncommon condition. But we know it happens in dogs, it happens in people, in cattle and sheep as well. So it's something to think about if we have a pet that's all of a sudden kind of down and not using their back legs, especially if they've been around ticks in the last 5 to 7 days.
It's kind of interesting that they didn't realize
it was a week for him.
Was it a week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had a week earlier to the day that they had him at the vet that they were going to put him down. He had been out on a hiking trip. And he was even wearing a flea and tick collar, those gross rubber things that you put around their necks.
Oh, come on now, Lori. Do you really think those all work all the time? It doesn't
I don't know.
matter.
I've actually seen humans wear them on their ankles in the woods. But, you know how we feel about those chemicals.
Well, what I think is so interesting is that, not all ticks do this, but certain ones will produce a neurotoxin that causes this type of effect. And it basically causes a paralysis in the back end, and it works all the way up to the front, and it'll shut down the breathing centers, and they can't breathe. So it's really an extreme condition. But if your dog has ticks and something like this comes up, then certainly, by all means, the ticks need to come off immediately. And it's just a miraculous response. Once they come off, the animal, usually within just a matter of a couple hours, is already doing dramatically better.
Once I was walking through the woods.
Yeah.
And didn't think anything of it. And the next thing I'm looking at, I'm pulling ticks off me everywhere. Oh, wow. None of them were in me. Okay, but when I went to go to the bathroom, on my male private part, he was totally embedded in there. And he must have made his way right up my shorts, through my underwear. And do you know what it was like having to think about having to pull him out? But it wasn't that bad.
Wow.
Oh, and you did it yourself.
Well, what was I going to do? I definitely wasn't going to the hospital and say, hey, doc, take a look at this.
I remember finding one on my head when I was in second grade in the classroom, and it was like, something itched, and I scratched my head, and I felt it, and I grabbed it, and I pulled it off, and I threw it. And I don't know where it went. I don't know if it went on another kid, or I don't know where it went. All I know is I just grabbed it and threw it across the room.
Oh, boy.
I'm Lori Brooks. Be sure that you get more breaking animal news anytime at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update. Get more at animalradio.com.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Find us at animalradio.com. Log on, learn more.
Hello, Animal Radians. It's Robert Semrow, your Pet World Insider, here with this week's Animal Radio list, top daily pet cancer awareness tips. Pet cancer awareness is more than a month-long event for me. In fact, it's been part of my life for several years now, as both of my dogs developed cancer. Zoe had successful surgery to extend her life, but still has cancer. And as some of you know, my best friend and my inspiration, Sugar, passed away just 10 days after being diagnosed with cancer. So for me, cancer is more than something that millions of dogs and cats get. It's something that changed my life and my pets' lives forever. I want to keep awareness going for everyone that we care about. The numbers are staggering and the impact is numbing. To begin with, there are more than 100 types of cancers found in pets. Cancer can be found in our pet's skin, bones, breast, head, neck, lymph system, abdomen, and testicles, just to name a few of the more common areas. There's a lot of places where it can occur and present itself, thus the importance of the weekly snout-to-tail checks. And if you get that unfortunate cancer diagnosis, it's not necessarily a death sentence these days. In fact, work with your vet to find the treatment program that fits best for you and your pet. There are many ways to treat and address cancer in a pet. Many of them are terms that you've heard for human patients, including surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, cryotherapy, and hypothermia, and many others. And I know that when Zoe was diagnosed, it was at an early stage, and her vet noted that I was a vigilant pet parent to notice it. That would not have been the case without speaking to so many wonderful, devoted experts in this field and listening to them about what to look for. So to pay it forward, I'm sharing a few common signs that should raise concern and spark a discussion with a qualified vet or specialist. They are abnormal swelling that persists or grows, loss of appetite, weight loss, loss of energy or stamina, difficulty in breathing or going to the bathroom, or bleeding or discharges from any body opening. All of these should naturally raise a red flag that something's out of the norm and you need to discuss it with your vet. Again, don't panic or get wildly emotional, as your pet, your vet, and your family need you to have the strength and clarity to be the pet parent they trust you to be. Sadly, this occurrence is something that many of us will experience due to a variety of factors, and there's no simple answer to the question we'll all inevitably ask. Why and how did this happen? Thankfully, there are many ways to address it, and many who are working on even more solutions. The word cancer is scary and devastating, but I leave you with this gem from Alfred Lord Tennyson. "'Tis better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all." Be aware of the signs and seek out solutions for your individual situation. And never forget how lucky we are to have them in our lives for as long as they are with us. Share your pet cancer stories and more on our Animal Radio Facebook page.
Dogs or cats, horse or emu, animals are people too. Studies are showing that the common goldfish may be a lot smarter than we thought. 9-year-old Kyle Pomerleau agrees. Kyle and his dad decided they'd try to train the goldfish to do something. They first bought a finger soccer kit from a dollar store and rewarded Albert with food every time he swam near the net. As soon as Albert got the net trick, they added a ball. Soon Albert was trained to push the ball into the goal for a treat. The father and son training team have heard from so many people eager to learn how to train their own fish, they've now started selling fish training manuals from their fish school website. They say it takes about 5 or 6 training sessions a day for about 3 weeks to teach most goldfish how to swim through a hoop. I'm Britt Savage for Animal Radio. Animals are people too. Animal Radio.
Get ready to discover amazing experiences you can share with your pets on Pets Welcome Here, the hour-long TV special that sniffs out the best places to stay, play, and dine with the furry members of your family. To find out where you can see Pets Welcome Here, go to petswelcomehere.tv and check out the schedule for the TV station in your area. If you don't see your local station, ask them to schedule Pets Welcome Here. Pets Welcome Here. Exciting adventures you can share with your pet.
For over a decade, Biogen has been the leading provider of genetic preservation and cloning services of prized livestock, with thousands of satisfied clients. Now announcing Biogen Pets, providing genetic preservation and cloning services to pet parents. Consider preserving the genes of your pet to extend the special bond you share with them. Get your free information kit and special offer for Animal Radio listeners at www.biogenpets.com. That's VIAGEN pets.com.
Animal Radio. Wow, Judy, I was unaware you could do the moonwalk so well.
Oh, I've got the moves, let me tell you.
It's time to hang out with Doc Halligan again. And last week we talked about zoonotic diseases, mostly in cats. And a lot of these diseases, they cross over between dogs and cats. But I wanted to focus on dogs today because we had a lot of questions about that last week. What kind of diseases can dogs get, Doc?
Well, the biggest one for dogs is a tick-borne disease called Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever.
Oh.
And also Lyme disease. Those are the two big ones. Probably everyone's heard about Lyme disease,
sure.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever is another zoonotic disease that you can get from your pet that brings a tick in that has the bacteria protozoa inside of it.
Ooh.
Lyme's disease can be very debilitating in humans. I know people that have been diagnosed with it, and, sometimes it's very hard to get rid of. So the key with zoonotic diseases, as we talked about last time, is prevention. So now how do you prevent Rocky Mountain spotted fever or Lyme's disease?
Get rid of the ticks.
Prevention. Right. Don't have your pet bring the ticks into the house.
Okay.
And there's so many great products now that you really shouldn't have to worry about it. But people wait until they see a tick. And then they're like, uh-oh. But really, if you're in heavily ticked areas or, even with fleas, I recommend all year round because people forget. And the products are around $20 a month. So, and that's, just going to save you so much money by doing prevention because not only can you get sick, but your pet can get sick. So you have to treat both of you.
So I'm a little confused. Now, these are diseases that are transmitted from our pets to us. Does my dog have to bite me for me to get the Lyme?
No. So what happens is your dog brings the tick into the household and then the tick bites you.
Oh.
And you get the disease from the tick.
So I won't get it from my dog licking me or anything like that.
No,
if he has
you won't get it from your dog licking you, but your pet is like the intermediate host for the bacteria. And so that's why you want to prevent your pets from getting ticks in the first place.
Okay.
But no, it's not directly transmitted from your dog to you. It's from the vector, which is the tick.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. So besides getting rid of the tick and Lyme disease, and what else can we get?
Well, rabies is another big zoonotic disease. I don't know if we talked about that last time because cats can get that as well. But every year, thousands of people die from rabies.
Still.
In the world. Yes. Wow. And that's so sad, but India, I believe, is the highest incidence of rabies. And so that you actually will get from being attacked by a dog that's rabid or a cat or any type of animal. But that's probably the most deadly zoonotic disease.
Now, there's rabies shots for dogs so that they don't get rabies. Can humans get any kind of vaccine to prevent them from getting it from an animal?
Yes, you can get preventative. Before I went to Sri Lanka, I had to have a couple of shots, which gave me antibodies to the rabies virus in case I did get attacked.
Wow.
Or came in contact. But, you can get it from saliva in a wound that you have. It doesn't even have to be a bite because it's in the saliva of the dog. But rabies is 100% preventable. This all comes down to prevention and being conscientious about washing your hands after touching your pets and just keeping your pets vaccinated.
Well, it seems so simple, and I do that anyway.
You do?
I think, I do keep I make sure they don't have ticks, and I keep them all vaccinated.
You do.
I do all
and what
that.
about deworming? Are you deworming once a year, all your pets?
Once a year, huh?
Disease Control says 6 times a year. Okay, so most vets recommend at least once, but that one's real common in children. There's what's called visceral larval migraines and ocular larval migraines. So your pet gets worms and they're shedding the eggs and you ingest one of those eggs that's coming out of usually from the rectum, but you might not see it, right? If you ingest one of those, we're not the right host. So that little egg goes everywhere and it goes in your eye. It can go to your brain. It's very dangerous. And, of course, it's most common in children because they're the ones playing in the back end of the pet, right?
Sure. You got to figure that if you just even pet your pet who's licked their back end and then is licking their fur, then you've already made contact. So you don't actually have to get in touch with their hind end necessarily.
No, they could leave it on the carpet. They could leave it on the furniture,
scooting.
Clothing. Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, and it's so preventable with a high quality dewormer, because pets, lick their feet after they've walked and stuff like that. So, it doesn't hurt them if they don't have worms, but a broad spectrum dewormer is important, especially if you're sleeping with your pets and you have kids, pregnant women, adults over the age of 65, anybody with a weakened immune system is going to be more susceptible.
So their annual vaccinations or 3-year vaccinations, that doesn't include deworming? That's not an injection?
Well, you can do an injection, but the one that's injectable is not broad spectrum. The only broad spectrum dewormer is in the oral form. And you need to get that from your veterinarian. I know a lot of the food stores sell like a dewormer, like Strongid, but that only gets roundworms, which is just puppies and kittens are born with. I'm talking about tapeworms that they get from the fleas.
Okay. Is that more common in dogs or cats?
I would say it's common in both of them.
We gave Ladybug some dewormer a couple of times. She got
that
sick.
was heartworm.
Oh, that was heartworm?
Yes, it was heartworm.
See, that's very different.
Yeah.
Now, we could talk about West Nile. That's from mosquitoes. So, that's another big zoonotic disease. If you have mosquitoes in your area, people can get West Nile from mosquitoes, but they use an intermediate host to feed off of. I don't think a lot of people realize how common these zoonotic diseases are, and they are preventable. So talk to your vet. Make sure you take your pets in once a year for the physical exam and to prevent these zoonotic diseases.
There you go. Doc Halligan from the Lucy Pet Foundation. Check them out at lucypetfoundation.org. And we'll talk to you again next week.
Okay, thanks a lot.
People say less is more. At Red Barn, we think less is better. It's what you won't find that sets our natural premium pet food apart. No byproducts, no corn or soy, no fillers. Just the natural ingredients your pets need to live the healthy life they deserve. Look at the label. We want you to. Red Barn Naturals Pet Food. Simply the best. Find it in your local pet specialty store. Red Barn canned food for cats and dogs is grain and gluten-free.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It's Animal Radio. Now, people that know me know that I love my kitties a lot. I'm a cat guy. I'm like that
You're crazy
the old
cat guy.
single cat guy type of guy.
Yep.
And I'm proud of it, actually. I spend a lot of time with my cats. I don't use any kind of chemical flea treatment on them. So I spend a lot of time combing them and grooming them to make sure that they don't have fleas. And I have a lot of fun. It's a bonding moment for me. So when I saw this Kickstarter campaign, I figured we got to have these guys on. Well, you know what? I'm going to let them explain what it is. I have Tara O'Mara. Really? Tara O'Mara from Licky Brush on the phone with us. Hi, Tara. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you? I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Tell me about the invention, the Licky Brush.
Sure. Well, if people haven't heard of it already, it went viral last week.
Sure.
So it's been a lot of fun. The Licky Brush is a brush that you can put in your mouth, and it's shaped like a tongue so that you can lick your cat. And the reason behind that is so that you can engage in the grooming ritual with your cat.
Okay, so let me get this straight, because it's hard to visualize without, the picture. I'll hold up the picture to the microphone, but otherwise it's a tongue. I assume a plastic tongue that you can groom your cat, and you put it on your tongue or you put it in your mouth and you groom them.
It's got little knobs on it, it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. So it has a little bite.
It reminds me of those old wax lips. You would kind of bite on those, and it would have like a tongue hanging out of it.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess the first question comes to mind. How do you invent something like this? And was anybody intoxicated at the time that this was invented? This is a very unusual idea.
You're the second person to ask us about that, about whether there was any intoxication involved. There was not. We are maybe just that crazy. So when I say we, I mean me and my husband, Jason. We are just always trying to think of ways that we can improve cats' lives. We were kind of looking for the next big way that we could change cat lives, especially indoor cats that, sometimes they're socially isolated. And grooming is such a central part of their day, and we watch our cats groom each other. And it just seemed obvious to us to invent this, something where we could lick them back.
So how does the cat react?
The cats love it. That's what really clinched the deal for us. So the first prototype was super simple kitchen sponge that was cut out to be the shape of a tongue. And we tried it on two of our cats, and they really liked it. One of them was into it right away. The next one was, he was a little tentative. He just kind of looked at us wondering what we were doing, but then he really got into it and kind of rolled over on his side for us to continue. And I gotta say, it's really sweet, especially some cats are okay with you holding them in your arms, kind of like a baby. And it's really sweet to be able to lick them like their mama did when you're holding them like a baby and they look right in your eyes and you can look right in their eyes.
I can't imagine what my cat would do. My cat probably would freak out.
Oh, I know you want one, Hal.
Well, of course I want one. So, but they don't exist yet, or they're in prototype? You have a Kickstarter campaign going on right now, right?
Yeah, that's right. And people can help support the project if they go to lickybrush.com. It's LICKI brush.com. And it's in pre-production. The final version will be made of a soft silicone rubber that is all one piece also. And it's going to be of a pink color so that, you don't fool your cat. They really think it's your tongue.
So how is the, because they'll be fooled, how is the Kickstarter campaign going? Is it, what are your goals and what have you raised so far?
Yeah, it's going really well. So we launched maybe about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, and our goal is $36,000, which might sound like a steep number, but our minimum order with our factory is 2,500 pieces.
Sure.
And we have a detailed budget on the Kickstarter page if you go to lickybrush.com. But, so our goal is $36,000. We are currently at $26,000. So we really only need $10,000 more. And our Kickstarter campaign is still going to run for the next 26 days.
I like how you call it the Lickstarter campaign. That's cute.
Right?
Yeah.
And I know I'm coming across a little crazy serious.
No.
Not at all.
When you experience when you experience it, you get it. It's just so cool. It's so fun to do with your cat.
Yeah, and then you don't get the fur balls either.
Yeah, it's
yeah, that mouthful of hair.
Hygienic.
Yeah.
Because everyone was licking their cats with their tongue before.
Yeah. Oh, you don't know how.
Well, this is very exciting for me and for people like me all across the country who want to lick their cats. Check out the Kickstarter campaign over at, first go to the website at Lickybrush, and it's LICKI brush.com, and we'll put links to everything you've heard on today's show over at animalradio.com. And from there, you can head on over to the Kickstarter campaign. I wish you and Jason the best of luck. Tara O'Mara joining us and her husband, Jason O'Mara, who have invented the Licky Brush. I'd like one for Christmas.
I'll tell you what.
I bet you would.
As you noticed, the groomer stayed very quiet on the other end because very, very skeptical. I am picturing the cat that doesn't like it, that has your eyeball in its claws, when it doesn't like it, when you have your face right on top of that cat.
Yeah.
Would be very, very leery. I don't know. Just the groomer and me.
Well, also, it takes away from your business if, people are grooming their cats with their tongues.
Listen, let me tell you something. If I have to start worrying about people licking their cats clean, then you know what? Then I better find a new profession.
My question is do I need to lick him in the same place as he licks himself? That's all. I just want to know. Have yourself a great week.
Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye.
Until next time, have a good one.
Always adopt, don't declaw.
This is Animal Radio Network.